So what I'll need from you is for you just to give us your name, surname, give us the name of your album, and just give us a small background on Wena and why we even here.
So my name is Bongeziwe Mabandla. I'm a singer, songwriter, and the latest album I have is amaXesha, but the more even latest one is the new amaXesha remixes that just came out maybe a week ago.
Yeah. So can you please tell us more about iLukhuzane amaXesha? Like what was the process of getting to make the first album, amaXesha? Like what was your process and what was your thinking behind creating that album?
Yeah, with amaXesha album, I really wanted to do a side B of iimini. So it was very much I wanted to write about love and relationships, and mainly because I knew that it was something that a lot of people would kind of relate to, and I do think that love is such a big universal with young people nowadays. So that was what I was trying to do with my class.
Yeah. And could you let us know about like that mixture of the different blends of sounds from the modern, the acoustic, the so some tribal spiritual sounds that are found in that album. How did you go about actually trying taking those elements in and actually just merging them to come out with that particular album?
Yeah, with the amaXesha album, the sound that we were going for, obviously I come from a very acoustic folk kind of background, but definitely I think lately I've definitely been experimenting and trying to modernize my sound a bit more. So there's a lot of mixture and mending of different genres and elements. So as much as it's folk, there's definitely a very electro kind of sound to it. Yeah.
But what was that made you that pushed you to that experimenting and pushed you to melding those sounds? Is it part of the evolution of your music, or is it just a process of becoming more and more?
Yeah, I think when I started off, I was a folk artist, and that's what I thought my sound would be. But definitely, I think as you grow as a musician, you're always trying to find ways. How can I evolve? How can I change with the times? I think that's what led me to be more of a more experimental artist. I was very much a niche and very focused um, on being a folk artist and keeping everything acoustic. But I think as I started to listen to different music and be exposed to different artists, I started to become interested to keep up with the times, like I said.
And then there's something that you do in amaXesha. I know it seems as if I'm sitting on amaXesha. I'm coming to the remixes because these are important things that I think we need to engage with from that album's perspective, where you have these small scenes that where you basically are taking us in the behind the scenes of the music in amaXesha, where you are either interacting with Tiago or like those
Yeah.
small elements that you are including, and it's like
Yeah.
very intimate moments around the album becoming, but around the interaction of the humans that are behind the music and the sound.
Yeah.
Can you please tell us why you chose to actually go in that direction?
I guess we always trying to find creative ways of presenting our elements. I know the specific parts that you're talking about. It's almost like where I say, yeah, I thought that was good, but I can do it again. Okay, cool. I'm going to do one take. Okay, cool. Yeah, just, I think, especially working with Diago from 340 Mil, we've always, whether we're using my mother's phone notes or we're recording the rain or, we are recording playing with cups, there's always, I think, this motive to be creative, to try different ways and to see an album or music making in a new way. And that's what I really love when I come into the studio. working with somebody who's so artistic and so creative. And, we get to do all these fun, exciting things. Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for this. Like, because those kinds of things are like a peek behind the curtain,
Yeah, yeah.
what's happening backstage, just for that moment. And then on top of that, you hear the music that came from those moments.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was the aim. Yeah. As a sneak peek. Yeah.
Yeah. And then now with the release of amaXesha remixes, you've collaborated with like various artists to reinterpret your original songs. I want to underline your original songs because there's a thing about how precious we can be about our music. But here you are
Yeah.
now letting artists collaborate on top of your music. What was that journey?
I think, the whole discussion about doing remixes for my work really came around, the discussion of where African dance music is going nowadays. And definitely also South African music, dance music, amapiano, drum, where it's like exploding around the world. And I wanted to somehow be part of that. I'm not really a very dance music kind of artist. So this was a way of collaborating with people who know a bit more than me. And but it was really important that we find the right people that would be able to interpret my kind of music.
And what was that process? Because it can be scary, like letting your stuff and your music and letting others play with it, whether you trust them or you're not, or you know them or you don't.
Yeah.
But it can be very scary because like there's an initial vision that you have. So can you tell us like that process of letting go and collaborating? Because like I feel like collaboration has an element of letting go, but then there's a coming together in the collaboration. So can you tell us about that process? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with remixes, it's very different. It's almost like, I'm not involved at all as the artist, So it was a lot of listening to different remixes, different DJs, and kind of selecting things that we gravitated to. And also trying to do very different kind of remixes. That was another thing. How do we not keep them the same kind of styles and the same kind of genres? It was a hard process because I am very precious about my work. And, when I wrote it, I never really wrote it to be remixed or imagined it to be remixed. So, I think it was hard, but definitely listening back and finding elements of things that you like in a dance way was also started becoming exciting. We started off, I think the first remix we did was the Ntukzin remix, which was nominated for the summer as well. So I think that, those kind of reactions really encourage us. And also, we did a Hendrik Schwarz remix and somebody had sent me videos of, him playing it just before he released it. And to see the reaction and how precious and how, I want to say, godly even dance music can be. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a beautiful way of putting it. And then now I'm listening to amaXesha remixes, and I'm listening to it next to amaXesha. What are the like? These are two different worlds that I'm engaging with.
Yeah, they are.
So like when now I'm going through that journey, like of moving from amaXesha to amaXesha remixes, what is the journey that I'm going on? Knowing full well that I know some of the songs, but now they're presented differently. What is this journey that I'm on with remixes?
Yeah, I'm hoping that people are gonna find the message in a different way or hear the same message in sort of a new way. But my main idea was for people to like the remix, fall in love with the remix, and see it as dance music, and then only to hear. So there's the other way around of doing it. But I was more concentrating on the person who would hear the remix and then to find the beauty in the original. I have a lot of songs like that. I know my friend Male, she did a lot of remixes, and seeing her perform the original song was super special, especially of a remix. The bigger the remix, the more special it is to hear the acoustic version. Yeah.
No, I hear you, man. And then like you were on a tour last year here in South Africa.
Yes.
And you hit a couple of cities. Can you tell me like what was the reception, but also how was that experience where you are touring your music and it seems like everyone wants a piece of you, like in terms of like they want to hear you, they want that intimate setting, but also they want that big stage setting where you're just exploding. So tell us about that, and also are we going to get more of that?
Yeah, last year's tour was our biggest tour. It was huge, like some of our biggest audiences in South Africa. And it's crazy to see, how much things have changed, how many people actually come out to the shows and know the music and want to be part of the live element. I will be definitely doing more tours. And I'm hoping to outdo even the tour that I did last year. It was a special experience, especially performing a lot overseas and performing in a lot of places where people don't understand the language I'm singing. And then coming back home and getting that kind of reception, it really touched me.
Yeah, man. And that was the amaXesha tour, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So now let's do a bit of reflecting. If you were to reflect on your musical journey from Umlilo to amaXesha, how do you see your own evolution in music? Aside from moving from acoustic to mixing in a bit of other genres, modern genres as well. Like, but how do you see yourself in terms of like the storyteller that we know you are? Because we know you're a storyteller and also the experiential artist that you are. Can you just tell us a bit about that evolution, but also how you reflect on that?
Yeah, I think, when my first album, I had a lot of insecurities. I wasn't even sure if people would listen to my music. And I think now I'm busy writing my fifth album and working on it. I do see, a little bit of a confident writer, somebody who's able to express themselves, like, without the worry. Because I think when you're worrying, will people listen to this? You write differently. It changes the way you write. Now I feel like, I know there's an audience kind of waiting to hear what I have to say. So, but, in the last few years, I've really worked really hard. So there's been a lot of knowledge, a lot of changes, a lot of touring, a lot of doing things again and again and again and again and again until I got comfortable. So it's just been, I guess, that almost 12 years ago since Umlilo, yeah.
Yeah. And like I always wonder with growth and change and success that the things that used to influence you or that used to inspire you are now different.
Yeah.
Now you're being inspired by different things, and your stories are slightly fuller and they've grown as well. Can you tell us about that recognition of this used to inspire me, but now these kinds of things inspire me, and moving like this inspires you? Because one can track. Guti, we've seen you move in different ways, in different spaces, and like how is that journey to this point? How has that journey been?
Yeah, it's weird. Like I feel like sometimes life can go in circles. Like I think sometimes we are like you think you've gone past something, and then you revisit it. So I'm finding a lot of that, especially as I write my fifth album, that as much as we change, there are things that fundamentally remain us. And as much as, we're talking about 12 years, as much as 12 years seems like a long time, it's also not such a long time. So, I find it's a circle sometimes. It's sometimes going back to something that, I'm writing a lot about my mother now, which is something I wrote a lot about in my first album. So there's that of maybe re-understanding or reliving or reappreciating or re-sing the same thing, maybe in a different way, but it's the same thing. The way, I wrote that song about my mother because I loved my mother. But obviously now, 10 years, 12 years later, there's something again that is like, that is bringing me to that certain point. Yeah.
Mm. And then if let's say, like I'm just going to take a small shot left here and say, then there's a young man in South Africa who uphume ezilalini wasemakhaya, and he's looking at you now. So maybe he skips Umlilo and he skips the other albums, but he meets this album here, and he's got a song and a guitar. This young man is reminiscent of you. What
Yeah.
would you say to them listening to this album, but also maybe engaging with an interview or something that has to do with you? What would you say or engage with them for them to consider when going forward?
Oh, definitely. I guess what didn't I know that I know now, basically. Definitely, there's a lot, but mainly I wish I had kind of had self-belief a lot earlier. A lot of us sometimes think self-belief is being arrogant, but I wish I had valued what I do and valued my artistry. And I think sometimes when you're young, you're beginning to be an artist, it's hard to value something that, you haven't seen it. You don't know if it's real talent but yeah, it took a long time for me. And I think once I started to kind of respect what I do and appreciate the artist I am and believe in myself, it changed the way I saw my music and the way I saw myself.
Art, man, that's beautiful. And then I've got like this one question that I always ask at the end of my interview, because I do think that as artists, you might sometimes you might be telling your story, but your story reflects differently when it lands on someone else. And the question is, what is the point of your music? What is the point of your art?
Yeah, I think a lot about that because I really don't want to just make music now. What are real songs about? And I think my hope, my music is really about hope. I've really taken a lot of my own personal struggles and a lot of the lack of hope in my life, and I've put it into my music to try and kind of find hope. There are a lot of my songs about figuring things about remaining hopeful, about staying strong, about resilience. And I do think it's about never losing hope. I think that's what my music is
about. So basically, hope.
Yeah, not losing hope.
No, not losing hope, not losing hope. And then actually, there's something that you mentioned earlier that just hit me now. You spoke about love, and you spoke about the love for your mother. Can you just speak about like engaging with love through your music and also through the messages in your music? Like how does that carry through to your own personal life, but also how does it come about? Because sometimes the vulnerability of speaking about love, the vulnerability about speaking about someone you love is a very difficult thing that sometimes for us as people. How do you then arrive at that ease and the ability to speak about love and continuously just like want to spread this love into the world?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do think why are you writing about it or what's calling you to write about it. But I think for me, maybe not understanding it properly, I do think that it's a song and that's what's on the surface. But to write about love, being a Black man in South Africa from the rural Eastern Cape, at my age, all these things, they say something. And I'm glad that somebody will know that, that these are the markings of my life. These are the things that occupied my mind, my thoughts, my heart, my emotions. And I hope that I was able to even make the discussion even bigger amongst us, people who listen to my music, people my own age, people who are like me. What is love? What is true love? What is not love? And it might seem on the surface, but it's like really deep topics about who we are, what kind of people we want to be, what do we value in life, what don't we value, what do we regard as important, what don't we regard as important. And it's songs, but it's also, writing of history, marking of our lives, a memory to the things that we went through. Yeah.
Hey man, you put it beautifully, and I really appreciate the moment that you've given me to speak to you, engage with your album, but also just speak to ever so briefly about these things that are important to us as human beings, love, and most importantly, not losing hope.